Hey there folks, welcome to this video. It's the general notice. It's Monday, so that means that we kick off the week by talking about what's going on in the world of motorsport and give you a bit update about what's going on this channel. I'll try not to flub as much as I did just there, so we'll start off with the channel update. The next general notice is going to be on Tuesday, because this weekend we've got the Rally Monte Carlo and the Daytona 24, so I'm going to probably spread those out over the Sunday and the Monday. WRC on the Sunday, Daytona on the Monday, because I'll be following the WRC a lot closer over the course of the weekend. Also gives me a chance to catch up on anything that I might have missed from the Daytona 24 over the Sunday and Monday. But on this channel then, you can expect predictions, videos and reviews. I'm thinking IMSA, I'm thinking NASCAR, I'm thinking F1. F1 testing comes up soon, so I'll probably do a little bit of a preview of what you can expect from that as well. And then, yeah, reviews for Monty and Daytona. I've already done previews for them. You can find them on the channel in addition to all of that. I might do something over a CSRA. I've got a bunch of iRacing replays I need to go through and clip things from, so that might be one of the things I go on to do. But overall, I'm trying to find a video that I can sit down and write and record and clip things together for the CSRE and try to figure out how best that comes across. Is that something where I just pick up various different race replays and use those as B-roll? Are they things where I'm talking to the camera? I need to figure out what I want to do with it, which is why I don't think there have really been, I think I've gone something like 2 weeks without posting any shorts on there. There are ones that I have that I can put out, but at some point that just becomes routine. It becomes a bit boring, and I don't like things that are boring. So, yeah, that's why I've done what I've done there. Anyways, that's what's coming up on the channel. Let's quickly talk about the real world of motorsport. Starting off with the WRC, I love the WRC, so of course I'm going to start off with that. And it's a bit of a double header. So firstly, Martin Sesks has confirmed that he's going to be doing the same 6 or 7. Sorry, I promise I'll stop doing that at some point. Rounds this year for the WRC. He ended up doing 6 events last year. He ended up doing, what was it? Sweden, Portugal, Greece, Estonia, Finland and Sardinia. And then he ended up doing the 7th one in Saudi Arabia, where he was battling for the win until double puncture and then technical problems with the car. Now, what's interesting is Hyundai have since revealed as well, and you'll find both these articles linked below, Dirtfish reported on them, that when they were looking for filling that third seat after Oid Tanak's shock departure from the sport, they looked at 35 different drivers. They said the reason why they chose the 3 that they have done, Hayden Paddon, Esabeka Lappi, Danny Sordo, is all 3 of them were, well, they've run with the team before, they've won WRC events for the team, but they've also been good supporting actors. They are consistent, they won championships last year at a national level. They said they could have picked pretty much anybody from Rally 2, and I would assume Sesks would have been included in all of that. But what they want is they want somebody who will just bring the points home, who will be consistent, who will be dependable, who they don't have to train to get up to speed. Because with Neville, you have the world champion. With Formeau, you have the guy who is sort of where Neville was when he joined Hyundai over 10 years ago. Had a couple of years in other works programs, has the pace, has the ability, just hasn't been able to string it together over the course of a full rally yet. And, yeah, I'd say that is perfectly fair. I'd say that is what we could expect from the trio that Hyundai have picked. Anyways, on to the next thing. And it's from the world of Formula 1. Cadillac have put their car on track now. We didn't expect it to be so soon, and that's really interesting, is with Audi, there was a little bit of fanfare around it. With Cadillac, we didn't expect it until we saw the videos on social media. Some people have gotten photos because, well, Cadillac is based in Silverstone. You could just see something coming out of Cadillac headquarters, going across the road, and then you're like, oh, they're doing a shakedown. And what's interesting is there are a couple of bits and pieces that we've been able to point out. With the Red Bulls, it's not the final car, most likely, but there are some clear design differences. The car's cockpit is moved slightly further back than what we saw on the F1 models, for example. But yeah, Cadillac has got some on-track running. I'd recommend going to the races coverage. Gary Anderson has done his own in-depth thing where he's pointed out a couple of bits and pieces, but also the article by Scott Mitchell-Malm has drawn some comparisons between the Cadillac that we've seen on track and the models that we've seen Red Bull showing off. Because what the journalists over the race reckon is that what we got from Red Bull isn't the final car, but it's not too far removed from what the final car could look like. Anyways, from Formula 1 over to Formula E. And from on-track stuff to off-track stuff. Dan Ticktum. Dan Ticktum had a massive rant because he commented on a post by Autosport, which was about another rant that he'd had, which I'm surprised won't pick up any of those FIA fines because he was complaining about the stewarding and the race organisation. I would have assumed he'd have one of those. Is it $10,000? 10,000 euros as the first offence, and there's 50, then it's 100,000. I think they technically turned it down a little bit this year because of the backlash after Adrian Fourmeau picked one up, which led to the WRC drivers unionising. But yeah, Ticktum had a time of it. And then one Formula E fan over on Reddit went out and pointed out that Ticktum's Instagram antics have not just been limited to comment sections, because this Redditor has pointed out posts that he's liked in recent months from the likes of Rupert Lowe, who was an MP for the Reform UK, our right of the right, some people will call far right party over here. He was an MP for them until he got kicked out by Nigel Farage. He liked posts from Donald Trump, in particular around things like immigration. And then, yes, some liking of memes that make fun of George Floyd, for instance, which Noah Gragson got fired from liking a George Floyd meme. I think, yeah, it wasn't even a reposting, it was liking one. But let's sit down and talk about this for a moment, because motorsport and politics is something that I've talked about a lot on this channel over the years. I've talked about it a lot less in recent years because there hasn't been as much of the real world politics ending up in motorsport. Nigel Farage rocked up at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but that's pretty much it at the moment. Lots of people, especially younger people that watch motorsport, expect these athletes to be a bit more liberal, a bit more lefty, even if they're all millionaires. Or a large amount of them are millionaires. Because you see the stuff that Lewis Hamilton's done for activism before. I did a video a couple of years ago about that sort of stuff from Hamilton, but also from the likes of Vettel or even Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, when F1 did its re-race, is one thing. Half the grid would kneel during the moments of silence. There was such a big thing where, for example, F1 deliberately cut away from it. Was that the second race of the season, the Styrian Grand Prix? I think they did something for the Hungarian Grand Prix as well. Lots of younger people want sports and everything they see in their world to reflect progressive messaging. That's fair. Everybody wants to see what they like in the world reflected. But the reality is that sports, and in particular motorsports, are probably a lot more conservative than you think. For instance, the late Frank Williams famously had above his desk a portrait of Margaret Thatcher. Now, some people, that would be a massive shock. Then if you think about Williams himself as a business owner, he's a businessman. Was he like somebody who did well for the business world as a prime minister? Lots of deregulation, lots of introduction of mass marketization and what became known as neoliberal economic policies. Doesn't mean they necessarily reflect the broader social picture. Ticktum's posts where he's liking things from Rupert Lowe or Donald Trump. Those ones err a lot more towards social conservatism, yes. But at the end of the day, this is the world, the way the world is. Even with this Reddit post, they haven't, called for the cancellation of Dan Ticktum. All they've gone is they've gone, this is a little bit concerning, watching somebody who competes in a diverse, international, and seemingly progressive sport in Formula E, being electric racing, competing in these series and then making these kinds of comments. But these things have existed for ages. I mean, heck, F2, Santino Ferrucci was an F2. The weekend he got banned, he wanted to run a MAGA livery on the car. And it's interesting because FIA sports are almost enforced to be apolitical. And there was a while where you'd have different state leaders coming up because culture washing, sports washing, and all of that lovely stuff. The national leaders were going to present the awards. Putin, for example, Lewis Hamilton sprayed champagne on back in 2014, right, at the inaugural Russia Grand Prix. I remember 2018 Rally Turkey. Erdogan was handing out the awards, and Lotfula, and in particular his co-driver at the time, Mika Antala, tried to avoid shaking hands with Erdogan. There are now laws, they came in 2020 under the FIA that said world leaders cannot be on the podium, which is why, for example, at the British Grand Prix, you'll notice that it's typically the Secretary of State for DCMS, Digital Culture, Media and Sport, which over the years has included the likes of Jeremy Hunt, Lisa Nandy. So they are still politicians in the government, but they're not the leading politicians who are in the government. I think World Rally GB, Mark Drakeford, when he was First Minister of Wales, was on the podium because he's First Minister of Wales and the Welsh Government funded the World Rally Championship round, in part. So yeah, I get why fans would be shocked. I get why fans would be a bit upset. Was I surprised? Not particularly. But at the end of the day, in some ways it's refreshing to know that people could be outspoken with their views off the track. Whether or not you choose to engage with them, whether or not you choose to like somebody because of them, that's your decision. If they had something that was borderline or over the line in terms of offensive and blatantly racist, sexist, homophobic, misogynistic, I would assume there'd be sanctions that come in just because of the sporting codes. But I do understand why people would be upset. Anyways, folks, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for joining, thanks for listening. If you have any thoughts and things I've been talking about here, do let them be known in the comment section down below. And yeah, as always, till next time, bye for now.